Hi everyone, Drew with Drew Talks. So I am a Montana girl. I have lived in this state almost my whole life. I love it here. This is the best place in the world. However, it is definitely changing in some of the saddest ways possible. So I live in the capital city, Helena, and I have been people watching for the last few weeks, and I'll tell you what I've seen. I have seen a lot of girls younger than me who have no teeth. I sat in a restaurant and watched some homeless guy with all his gear running around the parking lot, and the cops showed up, was kind of engaging with him. I've seen a lot of women who wear a lot of makeup because of the scars on their face from when they weren't sober. I've seen people sleeping on street corners and a lot of people living out of campers. I know areas that have drug dealers, and these have always existed to a certain degree, but it's becoming so common here in small town Montana that you sit at a restaurant and eat your food and don't even think anything of it. Oh, there's the cops to get that guy. And I just want to say how sad it makes me. This is the best state in the whole country, and I see years of bad policy from the national level down that is hurting individual lives. People who are kind of detached from these situations, they kind of think about some of these policies that are written in kind of an abstract way. When you say we're going to make cocaine illegal or we're going to crack down on cocaine use, they think, oh yeah, cocaine's bad, that's a good idea. But these policies that are written by the puppet masters in DC, you don't see how it affects individual lives. Meth was a product of the drug war. They started making meth because cocaine was so expensive. And that affects that girl whose name's Sarah who has no teeth because of meth use, because it's in the market now. People can't get their drugs legally. We have them ODing in scuzzy bathrooms because fentanyl is so dangerous. The margin of error for what you can consume without it being lethal is so small, and you don't free market controlling it. We have addicts dying before we have a chance to get them sober. And the drug war used to be contained into areas, polite people just didn't go. Polite people. And we used to be able to lock up, those unpresentable drug addicts, so we didn't have to look at them in our nice neighborhoods. The problem has grown so extreme. It is spilling over into rural America, areas you didn't see it before. It's spilling over into, it's always been in the schools, but it's spilling over into the nice little schools. Drug addiction is a huge cancer in this society, and the fruits of the drug war have done nothing to stop it. The fruits of the drug war have been violence, and it's been a police state, and it's been erosion of civil liberties. We have civil asset forfeiture, which is taking thousands of dollars cash from innocent people, but the cops can say only a drug dealer would carry this much cash. We're taking that. And then they have to go to court and fight to get their money back. These are products of the drug war. It hasn't stopped drug use at all, but it has ruined lives. The police should be able to focus on assaults and murders and stealing, but they don't even do anything about stealing anymore. They are so swamped with these victimless crimes. If you go and watch Cops, which I don't even know if it's on the air anymore, but I used to watch this show, drug bust, drug bust, drug bust, drug bust, it was all drugs. That's all they were doing. Now, a lot of my conservative friends are going to disagree with me on this one, but I cannot talk about liberty without talking about the drug war. Because if you truly believe in freedom and people being free, how can you possibly justify somebody being caged because they choose to use heroin? I mean, that's like saying, I think we need to make soda illegal because the number one killer is heart disease. Like, how we're eating is killing us. How much regulation do you want on health? Not only that, I mean, Big Pharma, look at what they have done with the opiates crisis. Like, that is a huge crisis. Your kids now aren't even getting heroin. They're just popping the pills in your cabinet. It's somewhat hypocritical that we think it's okay for Big Pharma to dish out these pills, but nobody had better take any cocaine or heroin. Like, the classification for what is okay and what isn't okay makes no sense, because if we're going to regulate everyone's health and what they consume into their own body, then how far are we going to push it? Are we going to start monitoring their salt intake? I mean, how far are you going to go with this? You're either in a free society or you're not. And the fact that we have the highest prison rate in the world, and we have prisons for profits making millions off the backs of these guys they have locked up, this is a huge problem. And this is one of the reasons I'll probably never be a Republican. I cannot justify in my head, drinking soda or alcohol or something that is really unhealthy for me, and then being like, oh yeah, be sure you cage that heroin addict over there. It's hypocritical and it's wrong. I think drug addiction is a terrible disease. I do not think the violence of kidnapping someone and putting them in a cage is the way to stop it, because it's not stopping it. And to be quite honest, it is building huge criminal syndicates, okay? So the cartels in Mexico, if you stand pro drug war, you're standing shoulder to shoulder with them. They don't want it legalized. They don't want to compete with Philip Morris for who's selling the better cocaine. No, they want it illegal. They control the illegal world. And these are dangerous, dangerous men. And you are giving them so much power. They are running wild in Mexico. They are murdering and beheading people. We cannot continue to support this. We saw this when alcohol was illegal. Prohibition created criminal gangs, which gained a ton of power, and that was only a 10-year span. Do you know how dangerous the world has become because of the drug war, which has lasted, 50 years? If in 10 years we built up a mafia for prohibition, what have we built in 50 years for the criminalization of heroin, cocaine, marijuana? And one thing that's really fascinating, if you go and read the arguments for when they made marijuana illegal, it's fascinating how racist it was. The arguments to make this an illegal substance in the United States had a lot to do with people hating Mexicans. I'm not joking. It's bizarre. That's one of the reasons they put that in place, because they said wild things like, well, we don't want everyone to be like Mexicans. And not cool. Another argument I hear a lot in Montana is, well, if we make drugs legal, we're going to be the next Colorado or the next Portland or Seattle or one of these areas that is not getting good press. I think the problems that are taking place in areas like Portland and Seattle, the crime, and even Colorado, has to do with more than just legalizing drugs or decriminalizing drugs. I think there was runaway problems before. I think we have runaway problems in Montana with addiction, and it is only going to get worse. And I am sorry, this is not the answer. Even if you disagree with drug use, using violence to enforce your opinion about this, even though your opinion is right, is not the way. And this war, this drug war, is going to spill over into your kids' school. It's going to spill over into your house at some point. And if you are part of a lower class, if your kid gets hooked on one of these drugs, they're going to go into the system, because you are not Joe Biden, whose son can be addicted to crack and have no consequences for it. Your kid will pay the price, like all the other poor kids who get involved in this garbage. And the justice system will have no mercy on them. I used to be pro-drug war. I used to think drugs are bad, so they should be illegal, until I understood that it was a perversity to believe that I somehow could use the government to say over someone else's body like that. Drug addicts is they always get what they want. So if we can make it legal, if we can make it so Philip Morris sells the drugs, or a pharmacy is selling drugs or something, it would be safer for the drug users, and we could make it so maybe they have a chance to get sober before they die, or before they get thrown in prison for their disease. I also think one thing that has really hurt my state is this perverse idea that has begun to manifest itself among people, that we need the government's permission to run a business. You've seen this with the government granting business licenses, or requiring some sort of training to do something. I am sorry, you do not need a degree to just go cut hair. I don't understand this over-regulation, overburdened, and overtaxed business market. We are killing the free market. And it's so hard for poor entrepreneurs to get started now. We are making it so they can't get out of poverty. It's almost like the ruling class wants to keep those people down here living off of the system. Kind of curious how that works. I think if you want to go start a business, you should go start a business, and the free market will quality control you. Much better, much more efficient than the government will. We cannot keep making it hard for people to just go out and work. This is ridiculous. I don't want to see anybody homeless. I don't want to see anybody on drugs. I don't want to see anyone living in poverty. If I can help the system out so that people are just getting out of that, that's the way to go. Rather than throwing money at problems, let's come up with a solution so that the problem is fixed. And one of the big problems is we are making it hard for people to succeed. People who want to start a business, I mean, how many things do they have to do illegally before they can even get to that start point, because they can't meet the criteria of the government? How much money do they have to sink into education before they can even just go and do it? It should just be easy. Like here, I made some enchiladas and I'm selling them. Not hard at all. These problems that we are seeing, that I see in my state when I go out and about, things that break my heart. I love this state, but it has been overrun by big government ideas. And I just want it to stop. I want people who are on drugs to be able to get the help they need. I want people to be able to get out of poverty, to start doing that tomorrow. And I don't need a juggernaut of a government program to make this happen. Anyway, I know this is pretty long, but I love this state. And I am saddened by what is happening to it. And I want people to understand cause and effect. You cannot have a drug war that is telling people what they can and cannot put in their bodies without creating more criminals, without creating more police laws, without creating violence in our streets. I think we can deal with the drug addiction crisis we have without the added violence of a police state. And then I just want people to excel. And I hate that they are making it so hard to excel. These laws are written by people who went to college and did all these nice little polite things like that. And they expect everyone's story to be like theirs. I did it this way, so everyone should do it this way. I think the government doesn't get a say whether you run a business or not, as much as they think they do. That's none of their business. Anyway, those are some of my rambling thoughts. Like, share, dislike, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.